All right, so let's go back to our group show right here, the team showcase. Once again, returning and coming in hot right now. We're going to be doing our GPCS now that our Iron, Bronze, Silver, Gold competitive series is finished. And our GPCS is even bigger with 16 teams that have applied, split into 2 groups of 8, which will be revealed at the end of the stream. We got even more teams to go over, so let's go over it once again right now. Once again, starting with Aether Esports as they make the return not only into the IBS League, but also into the Gold Plat one. Now let's take a look at the roster of theirs. We have Phantasmagorical in the top lane, Good Moniker in the jungle, Crucifix in the mid lane, Ziggy Azalea in the bot lane, and Gaster Ligabes in the support role. Some tongue twister names right here. Will they have a similar tongue twister-esque performance? Let's start off with you, Pablo.
All right. Looking at Aether Red, a team from last season, but a very different lineup. I don't think any of the players are the same, actually. Just looking at it, but looking at their OPs just on paper, Phantasma is not a top laner. He is a support player. So autofill top. We'll see how that goes. I think a good moniker is going to be probably their best player. He plays high tempo junglers, which I think are pretty good in this current meta. Gragas, Elise, and Nidalee. If I was playing against this team, I'd probably want to try to neutralize his impact on the game as much as possible. Crucifix is also kind of autofilled a little bit. He doesn't play any mids other than Talon. So it definitely looks like this team's looking to snowball just to take the early game and just try to end the game before like 30 minutes. So shot calling with this team is going to be interesting to see. Vision control is going to be interesting to see how they actually take objectives. I don't see this team performing that well in the Dragon division that they're in. So, I don't know. What do you think, Sheer?
There's some names that actually I feel like I know them. A good moniker. I think did he play in the previous season in duo?
Yes.
Crucifix, really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
He played a couple games for Aether Esports, I believe, some jungle, some support. But the fact that we're struggling to remember, he didn't play that many games, right?
Yeah, and Ziggy Azella, I feel like I heard that name before. I don't know if it's in duo or another league, but that's all I have really. Pretty much what Pablo say here. It's worrisome. I don't feel like they will make it. Probably 6 or 7 seed.
That's about where I have them.
Yeah. Here's the thing, right? The Aether Esports IBSU roster, we at least know a couple players on. The Aether Esports GPCS roster, we really have no idea. And is it fair for me to just, glue stick and say, oh yeah, by the way, it's Aether Esports, they're gonna do bad? Historically, no. I think so. I think they're going to do bad not off of history, off of the group that they're in. I think they're going to struggle a little bit, as I think there's 2, maybe even 3 very clear, top teams that are almost 100% making it through just all of their showing so far in their group that we'll get to at the very end. But as of right now, I'm just going to play it safe. I'm going to say Aether Esports, Aether Red GPCS is like a mid-tier team, as we have very little read on any of their players.
What I'll tell them. What I will tell you, Shino, is that you don't launch a successful rocket the first, second, or third time. Maybe the fourth.
Oh, that's a good line. I'm going to give that to you, Shu. That's a solid line right there. I'll give you the credit for that one. But Pablo, what do you think about him?
Yeah, I put him at 6th. In the Dragon division. To be fair, I think Dragon Division, we're probably going to be going into this more. I think Dragon Division is pretty top heavy. So honestly, anyone who's rated 6 or 5 to 8 can really flip flop anywhere in between those rankings. I don't have. This team could surprise me if a good moniker pops off hard enough, but I don't see it.
You don't see it. All right. Well, we'll leave it as. Sheer put it here. You have to have some time to fire off a rocket. Let's go to our next team on the list here for our GPCS, though. And we're keeping the theme of organizations that are playing in our league. We have Divine Ascension Platinum right next to Aether Esports. Divine Ascension Platinum specifically had a very strong showing in the exhibition match versus one of our returning hometown teams in Galaxy Gaming Dragons, putting them to the ringer and absolutely knocking them out. DAP with a strong exhibition match showing will they be able to transition into the regular season in their, I believe, Baron division right now. Let's start off with you again, Pablo.
All right, Divine Ascents and Plat, definitely a solid-looking team. We saw their gold team in the IBSG. They are in the Baron division, and they definitely look like they're going to be a top 3 team, in my opinion. Just like looking at their stat lineups, they do have an auto-filled top. Their jungler plays high-tempo junglers, Graves, Elise, Olaf. I think those junglers are very good right now, especially in a 5 setting. They can really take over the game and really just put the entire spotlight on him. Things to look at from their team, their support, Jazz-X is a Nami one-trick. I mean, I would just take away Nami if I were drafting, because I don't really think... I want to see Jazz-X on something else before I make my opinion on that. But I do think JDK is going to be the star player on this team. He plays Galio, Silas, Zoe. Those are mid lane champions that I think are really good at roaming, looking on the map, and just dominating the lane. I think Divine Ascension Plat is going to be a top 3 team. I think they're going to do well in the Baron division.
I tend to agree, especially after the preseason game. A really good showing, and even if you say the top lane seems to be like a fell role, he played really well on his Renekton. And I was watching the clip montage here, and he also did really well into another game. So hopefully he's just not a one trick. That's the only issue I would have.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, TAP looked really good in their exhibition match. I agree with what everyone else has said here. And given the nature of their group, which again we're going to get to, but we're going to keep teasing it, I definitely think I could see this team succeeding. Maybe even top 3, just because the group they're in is kind of like the group of life. Last season we had 2 groups in GPCS, in one of which everyone marked as the group of death. Baron division, Dragon division was very much a free for all. Anyone can make it, and almost anyone did, even towards the very finish line. So I think DAP are in the same kind of group as that, and I think they're going to be able to succeed as a result.
Agree.
Agree.
Yes, indeed. So let's take stock of our next exhibition match successful team, and it's going to be DOV Thunder are up next. DOV Thunder absolutely smashed one of the clear favorites this season in Solar Phoenix, not even making it look that hard. It's not wrong to say that DOV Thunder came in like Thunder. Will this team be able to replicate the success into the rest of the GPCS, though? DOV, this is the massive organization in other leagues, but our first time playing in this league specifically here in Duo Esports. Let's take a quick stock of that roster right now, with Office in the top lane, Blue Shift in the jungle, Yoki in the mid lane, Badger in the bot lane, and Clovers on support. And let's again start off with you, Pablo. How do you feel about this team?
I mean, yeah, you guys saw that they beat Solar Phoenix in the exhibition match, preseason matches. Definitely, this team is probably going to be one of the strongest teams. I expect them to top Baron Division and maybe first or second. I think Baron Division this season, it is really hard to exactly pinpoint who the top 4 teams are going to be, but in the top 4. But I think DOV is going to have a lot of success. I expect them to be 1 or 2. I think Badger and Clovers, while Clovers has a low rank, I think Clovers is a very good support in some of the champions that we've seen him play. I expect Badger and Clovers to probably be the best bot lane in Baron Division. I think this team's really good. I expect them to do well.
They had a really good showing against Solar Phoenix. Like hats off to them. And DOV is a really well-established org. In other leagues, they've been fairly successful. So I wouldn't be surprised if they actually just are even more successful here.
Definitely. I mean, they had 2 exhibition matches, so one of which we haven't shown clips for because bit of a bully exhibition match in all honesty, where they played against Zero Risk, and fittingly for what we expect GPCS teams to be able to do, they absolutely took Zero Risk to town, but they took Solar Phoenix to town, and that's what I think matters way more, right? Solar Phoenix, at least I feel, we're going to get to them later on, is a clear favorite in my book, and they just absolutely knocked their socks off like they did. I think that speaks pretty big for their chances in the season. And overall, they just look like they had fairly deep champion pools in the picks that they played in, and that can go very far.
They're very flexible. I'll give them that. Yuki plays a lot of... can go from control mage to Corki mid to a really strong Cassiopeia to a roaming Talia. So probably one player that would keep my eyes on.
Yeah, I think this team is very good at following the meta. So anytime there's a big soon we're going to be getting to the world's patch and stuff like that. If this
Mm-hmm.
gets that far, I think this team is really good at adapting quickly. And if they show that they are, they'll probably be top of the Baron division.
Definitely agree with you on that one. But let's get to our next team on the list. It's the one that has a very special place in our hearts here at Duo Esports. It's the hometown team of Fight Club. Fight Club are now playing in their fourth season in a row of Duo Esports, making them as one of the few team/organizations to make multiple consecutive appearances in our league. The first 2 seasons for Fight Club were really bad, not being around the bush at all. They went 2 seasons without a single win into the final game of their second season. However, their last season competing was without a doubt their best, as they got their stuff together mid to late season, pulling out some wild victories and defining themselves as the best of the worst in the teams that failed to qualify for playoffs. Now, with hopes and expectations higher than ever before for the organization, will they be able to meet them and finally qualify for a Duo Esports playoff series? Let's start off with you, Shiar.
Oof. I don't know if you guys have been following the Discord the past week, but they've been talking a lot of beef, talking a lot of shit, let's say, to the more successful teams in the league. So they feel like they're really competent. I've seen a lot of legit Stack playing the jungler, and he's really, really solid. So actually, I would be one to believe that Fight Club will actually make it to the playoffs this season. The only worry, actually, it's not even the worry. The one of the main reason is because they're not in the stronger division. Well, that's my opinion. But even though a playoff spot is a playoff spot, so I feel like they can finally make it.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go to the roster of theirs, though. Definitely a hot one of that. We got Varric X in the top lane, Legit Sack in the jungle, Young Walrus in the mid lane, Kenny Zito in the bottom lane, and Beamy on support. However, I believe there has been some semi-drama/controversy of if Young Walrus is playing or not, and I think that could hinder the chances.
Probably. Young Walrus was actually a upcoming star in the mid lane. He did really well in the past season, in the previous season. But he was really, really cocky, let's say. So I don't know. Toxicity won, I guess. But
which is welcome here at Duo Esports. But yeah, to some extent.
It's welcome, but everything good in excess becomes bad. So
all right, fair. Pablo,
But
how do you feel
anyways.
about this team?
Yeah. So Fight Club's lineup, just look at their OPs. All gold team in a gold plat league. It's kind of hard to say that this team's going to be top tier. It's actually even hard to say that this is going to be a middle of the pack team. I have low expectations for this team. I think they are, especially in the Dragon division that they're in. I think the top teams are going to beat them up. I don't think the middle of the pack teams are going to have too much problems with them either, unless they show us some good gameplay. I mean, we saw Fight Club last season. Not a lot of these players are the same from that last Fight Club. I want to see them succeed because, I mean, hey, they've been in it longer than any other team. They deserve it at some point. But for me to say that this team's going to do well in Dragon Division would be pretty hard to keep up. I want them to surprise me. I don't think it'll happen. I have them at the bottom of the Dragon Division standings for now. Kenizito, their bot. I don't think their bot lane's that impressive. Kenizito, we saw last season. I mean, he's a decent player on his own, but I don't think he plays too well into the 5 setup of bot and support. I'm not trying to trash on this team. I just have low expectations.
Okay.
I would agree with the bot lane weakness here. I feel like Kenizito is probably the weakest player in that roster right now. The only good thing I would, let's say, I would be really positive about is Legit Stack. He's really, really good. Well, his communication skills are really top tier. He talks a lot about what he's going to do. The only issue that I have with him would be that he's sometimes too aggressive, and that becomes predictable. Where people like the other team will know when he invades because that's what he usually do, and then they can just kill him. So if he can fix that, and with the new addition of Warwick and Varric and Beamy, maybe they could maybe just maybe make it.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have high hopes for this team if they have Young Walrus, who I'll start referring to as Tyler, rather popular in the Discord that had a couple previous IGNs under that name. As much as he did make quite a bit of noise in the Discord, I really think that they need that kind of player that has that confidence to, I'm not just trash talking the Discord, but make plays in game, carry, which Young Wallace did show in the last season. Towards the very end of it, he was alongside Spike, one of the big carries for Fight Club that almost brought them that Cinderella run into the playoffs out of nowhere, right? I think if they get him back up, maybe they accept him for his toxicity and whatnot. Maybe that can lead Fight Club to success, but without them, without their last season star, I just don't think it's going to be as strong of a roster, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then I could see them struggling in they're in the easier of the two groups. They've dodged the two hot topic teams, we'll say, but if they want to succeed really in the easier of the two groups, I think they need that player back.
All I say is that we will see if Fight Club was justifiably competent or just cocky.
I want to see them succeed. I want to see them. They've put their time in. I believe it's just hard to, on paper, support that.
Yeah. The roster's not that good. I agree. But again, they've put in the work. They've put in the effort. 3-4 seasons almost, something like that. Like, you have to do it this season, right? There's just no way. Yeah. There's just no way, man. But let's go to our next team that there definitely should be a way for. We have our next team returning from last season GPCS. We have Galaxy Gaming Dragons coming in hot. At what point threatening the second seed in the tougher of the two groups last season, Galaxy Gaming Dragons make their return in style with a new look and roster. Will GGG be able to come back as a top-tier team in the league, or will they forever hang in the balance between good and great? Let's start off with you this time, Sheer.
All right, so GGD, a couple of returning players from the GPCS Season 6, notably Waki, Major Core, and Awubi. Waki, probably top 2 support last season. Unfortunately, he had to go on the bench for personal reasons. But he's still really involved in the community and doing tons of good memes. So I'm really hopeful for this team. This looks like a better version than last season.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Let's take a look at that roster there's right now. We got Windblade user in the top lane, Wobi in the jungle, Major Core in the mid lane, Shurgaz, brand new AD carry in the ADC bot lane position, and Waki, I think the biggest name here in the support role again.
Indeed. Oh, real quick correction as well. Addition, let's say, I heard Cute Raichu is also joining GGD.
Yes, as did I, yeah.
Cute Raichu was a community member for over 3 seasons, was not playing. Sometimes talk a lot of shit, so let's see if he can back it up.
We'll see. He's not on the starting roster, at least not yet to my knowledge. But Pablo, how do you feel about this team?
All right. We've seen some preseason showing. GGD did play against Solar Phoenix, and it didn't go that well for them. That being said, I do think Waki is probably one of the best supports in this league. As an entire team, though, I'm really curious to see how they mesh too much. I know that Waki can really shot call a game through vision, but it's kind of hard to think that this team has carrier potentials in their solo lanes. I think Awobi's a decent jungler, but if he's getting his solo lanes ahead and his solo lanes aren't that capable of carrying, I put them as middle of the pack. I think they can be top tier in their division, which they are in the Baron division.
Easier of the two groups, yes.
What I'll say about this team is that they'll probably win most of the game through macro. The only thing that is not going to go well with them is once they face a team that is mechanically superior, that will, no matter what macro you try to do, if we just outplay you.
Fair. So my thing with GGD, right? Last season, they're the only team that actually exploited a double roster. They had 2 different rosters they used where they kept the bot lane and they swapped out their top jungle and mid lane. I think was really good, and this is their B quote unquote roster. That we actually saw more of towards the second half of the season, presumably with complications with their A roster, right? But this is their B roster coming in, and their B roster wasn't bad, honestly. I think it was a pretty solid lineup. They I do believe made playoffs with help of their A-tier mid laner, Kakari. They came in that season, almost made it happen against Solar Phoenix in quarterfinals, but not quite. Ended up losing 1-2. I want to say this team's going to do well, but the only thing holding me back from, definitively saying that this is, GG, you're on top of the league is that they absolutely ran it down in exhibition matches, and that kind of tears me. They did say they were toying around the draft a bit, so I don't think we're going to see hideous drafts from them in the regular season, but they lost pretty hard to DAP, and that's really stretching it. Like I want to say they're going to do well, but their exhibition match did not show that at all.
What I'll say about Major Core, if he does play more games, is that he played I think he played like 5 games last season, but he popped off on those Syndra. He has a couple of highlights in the highlight channels where you get I think he got a triple kill, and you just casting magnificent.
Yeah, no, definitely. So we're going to see how it is. Actually, this is a very interesting roster. Again, I want to say they're going to do well, but exhibition matches is tearing me different. I mean, we've seen Windblade user Ruby Major Core before. We've seen Wacky, as Pablo said earlier. He was one of the best supports, very arguably maybe the best last season, but they're the top 4 supports in GPCS last season. You could easily swap any of one of them, I feel, for number 1, and, people wouldn't really think you're crazy. So we'll see.
Call me biased, but I know who was the true number 1 support.
The true number 1 support is, we'll be getting to him very soon right now. But yeah, GGG, semi-controversial roster, but overall, I think they'll do decent. Just will they be the best? We'll have to find out. Let's get to our next team in line, though. We have another Glacial team coming in, not just hot, but also cold for our team showcase now in the GPCS. Glacial Inferno, mixing it up and entering the ring here with the new and familiar faces. How do we think that they will fare? Let's go to you again on this one, Pablo.
So, Glacial Inferno doesn't look like that amazing of a team. I actually put them really low on the listing for the Dragon Division that they're in. Comparing them to the other teams, I mean, like Windstorm, Yasuo player, just don't let it get through. They have kind of interesting picks. I saw they could play Jinx, Vel'Koz, Kiana, Kayle. Their jungler plays Master Yi. I guess their OP.GG is hard to really pinpoint where they are, and when I can't pinpoint a team, I assume they're bad, I guess. That could be a fault in me. I apologize. I want to see how this team plays in a 5 setting. I want to see what they draft. I want to see what their mindset is in the game, because if they have a decent draft and a decent mindset of how to play the game, then they could easily get into playoffs, right? Which is like looking at on paper, if I don't like it, I just put them last kind of thing. So I have them last in Dragon. That could I could be wrong.
When I look at their RPGs, all I see is just solo queue. Like, this is just solo queue-esque. The only player that actually, this is actually pretty decent is Mark Endu, the support, I believe. Yes. And where he plays actual good picks in the 5v5s context. But the rest, it's just not. I'm not hopeful. Really not. The only good thing I would say is that Glacial is a established org, a big org. So maybe they have some special backup.
Maybe. I mean, they're putting 2 teams in, just like Divine Ascension and Aether, and Solar as well, which we'll get to rather soon. But let's take a look at that roster of theirs right there. We got Mojo Skeletor in the top lane, Justice9 in the jungle, Windstorm 0610 in the mid lane, Rem in the bot lane, and Marcando 5 in the support position right here. I'm kind of with everyone else. I mean, they're in I believe the tougher the 2 groups, right? I believe they're in the our Dragon Division group this year around, and that's a pretty tough group. There are a lot of good teams in there. With that said, I could see this org barely scraping through into top 4, which is what you need to qualify. There's 8 teams in both of the GPCS groups. You need top 4 to qualify. I could see this team making 4th. I don't think it's completely out of the ringer to say that they could do it, but I kind of get PS Blue vibes from this team, right? I think they're going to struggle early on, and then they're going to succeed later on the season.
I don't agree with the comparison here, because PS Blue, they have established players that we know they will not play solo QS champions like Master Yi. So I don't agree with your analogy.
It's hard. It's hard to pinpoint it. It's hard.
I mean, we'll see. I guess if they can keep cool or just melt.
Ooh, you're whipping on some pretty good one-liners here, Sheer. I gotta give you that one. But let's go to our next team on the list right now. The next team, indeed, is going to be Crow Gaming, who's similar to Dov and Divine Ascension Platinum, performed exceptionally well in their exhibition matches, KOing Parma Radiance and steamrolling into a victory. Will Crow Gaming flock at the top of the league, or is the exhibition matches merely an omen of bad luck for this team right here? Let's go and start it off with you, Pablo.
Yeah, we saw this show match between Primal Radiance and Crow. We have a counter moved. Really, really popped off on the Diana, really showing how he can just like carry a game with the champions that he had. I think Crow Gaming is going to do well. I think they're actually going to perform very well in the Dragon Division with some of the better teams. I think they could take games off of like Solar Phoenix and Pawn Sacrifice Black if they really like outmaneuver them in draft and stuff. Yeah, I'm impressed by this team, just by their showing. Looking at their champ pools, I mean, the only one that really stood out was Greeny. Greeny plays Nami and Janna 2-trick. So I mean, you could just pick heavy dive into this team if you let that go through, or you could just ban it. It's an idea. Send a player in the bot lane. So their bot lane is something I really want to look at and really look to. If I was drafting against them, really look to attack.
Definitely. Let's look at that roster there for Crow Gaming. We've got Thick Bunny in the top lane, Trick Juji in the jungle, Cower moved in the mid lane, General Lullaby in the bot lane, and Greeny on support right now. Sheer, what do you make of this team?
What gets me worried is that when I look at the Trick Juji roster pool, it's all I see is like please don't be behind. Because if he falls behind of any of those champions he plays, he's in a bad spot. Like he's not scaling with Graves. He's not scaling with if he falls behind on Kadrin, he will have to wait a lot. If he falls behind on Kha'Zix, he's not going to kill anyone. If he falls behind on Olaf, he's going to get one-shotted. So that's all I see. And Tristan though seems to be a sweat player.
Yeah. So here's one of the things that this is literally just a week one only thing for Crow Gaming, but their mid laner counter moved as of this moment. Last time I checked, pretty recently, he does not have enough games to play, and their first match is against Pawn Sacrifice Black later tonight. In fact, so make sure to tune into that right there. I believe they're going to be using a substitute in some way, shape, or form in that match, and maybe they have a rough start. However, I am with Pablo and you on this one, where I think this is actually just off their showing against Parma Radiance, very convincing. I think 18 kills on the mid lane Diana, so hopefully Counter Move gets those games cranked in very soon for the rest of the season, but I think this team's actually going to do very well. I could see this as top 3.
Yep, I'm impressed by this team. I definitely think they could take games off the top teams.
Possible, yeah.
Yes, indeed.
What is the saying? Like, don't trust a crow, Don't
trust a crow? All right. Now you're fishing for it. Let's go to our next team right now. We have the Lighthouse Titans. Will be entering the ring into the Gold Platinum Competitive Series. Will they be able to light their way to the top, or will this team falter and find themselves lost in the dark at the bottom of the league right now? Let's go again to you here, Pablo.
All right, so I checked out Lighthouse Titans, and we know just from the graphic, like you mentioned earlier, Cute Raichu isn't playing top lane for them anymore, I guess.
Correct.
So they'll have someone
just
different.
To clarify for that, there was a last-second roster swap between Cute Raichu going from Lighthouse Titans to Galaxy Gaming Dragons. The unfortunate news is that in the mix of that, he didn't get listed on either roster. So if he plays for GGD or any team, if a matter of fact, in the first week, he'll be considered an E-sub. So a little bit of a quick swap. But yes, Cute Raichu is not the starting top laner for Lighthouse Titans.
Yeah, so when I was looking at this team, the biggest thing I noticed is that I saw a weak link in their bot lane. I don't know how well Chandler and C9 Camilla are going to do. Just by looking at the on stats, I didn't really think they were going to perform too well against the other bot lanes that we have. They are in the Baron division, if I'm correct. Yeah, they're in the Baron division, so maybe they can show a little bit against the lower seeded teams, but like against some of the ones that we think are stronger, like DOV and Divine Ascension, Galaxy Gaming, I don't see them performing too well. That being said, I think the mid and jungle is going to be the carry of this team, and maybe if they whatever their next top laner that they get, if he's a solid carry, then yeah. But yeah, I'm really looking at mid and jungle to carry these games, and I'm looking at this bot lane to not get too far behind if this team wants to perform well. I have them lower listed in the standings. That being said, I think they could maybe get up to 5th or 4th if they really popped off.
Yeah,
Something,
definitely.
something interesting I will point out is that I'm looking at their more recent roster submission. So the new top
Mhm.
laner seems to be someone named Damien, and he's a
Mhm.
Tryndamere player. And I
Ooh.
don't know if you guys remember in season 5, there was a certain Tryndamere player that
Oh, I
somehow
do.
won some games. So
Yeah, I will say Tryndamere is definitely an interesting champion that kind of puts teams to the test, right? Can they handle split push, which is, I think, pretty big for teams, right? If there's a split push on the enemy team, how do you handle it? If you can't handle it, you're absolutely boned. If you can, though, it kind of negates the pick altogether, though. So we'll see how it ends up panning out. Let's look at the jungle here or the roster here for Lighthouse Titans. We got Meow in jungle, Pogo in mid lane, Chandler in bot lane, and Cloud9 and Camila Cabello on the support role. So overall, I think this team they're in the easier of the two groups. Okay, so they have a good chance, as do frankly almost any team have a good chance in the group, which we'll get to. I'm gonna play it safe, say middle of the pack, and I think I'm gonna leave it at that.
I mean, also, how can I say this? Can they be better than their logo, please?
I like their logo.
I like their logo. I don't
Uh,
mind it.
it's not my
Where's
stuff.
the logo tier list? When's that coming out?
Where's the logo tier list? Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Walkie,
I'm not-
Walkie, Walkie. You did a name tier
Yeah,
list. It's time for a
yeah.
logo tier list. Let's go.
Might be something for Waki. So we're gonna get to it. We're also gonna get to our next team right now. Returning from last season are the villains of the GPCS in malicious gaming Waves. The former MG team that participated in Duo Esports held their own for a portion of the competition before throwing in the white towel too many times and ultimately giving up. While they could still qualify for playoffs. Will this version of MG be like water and adapt to any GPCS team, or the only thing wet here be the towel they throw in by the end of it? Let's start off with you, Pablo.
Ooh,
All right.
that was smooth.
So looking at MG Waves, I actually kind of like their lineup. I like what they have going. That being said, they do have some auto-filled players. Their AD carry, Scruff Ninja, has a lot of games on Twisted Fate, but has been spamming Ash, Vayne, and Solo Q. So, hey, support player Bang Bus looks like a Thresh player. Maybe he could pop off, be the next Mad Life. I'd really prefer if he could stick to maybe some more fives-oriented characters if he's not really performing well in the Thresh. Their jungler
Mhm.
is auto-filled. So I think what this team's going to have to do is really rely on their solo lanes to win the game. I don't expect their jungler to really influence the game too much. Just put them on, like, I don't know, a safe jungler that farms. Sejuani, Jarvan's fine if you want to just get those early ganks off. I put them as a higher middle of the pack team because I think their solo laners are solid enough to carry the games. But there's definitely a weakness in the jungle, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Let's take a look at the roster right now for MG Waves. We have Polar Bear Minion in the top lane, Miyamo Tiene in the jungle, Ark in the mid lane, Mr. Scruff Ninja in the bot lane, and Bang Bus Driver returning from Season 5's Team Obliteration in the support role.
So for me, like the only names that I recognize here is Bank Bus Driver and Mr. Scruff Ninja, but I don't remember when they played in Duo.
Mm-hmm. Bang Bus Driver played Season 4 Iron Bronze Silver Gold Competitive Series, Team Obliteration, not the best showing, so chalk it up to that. Mr. Scruff Ninja, I'm pretty sure hasn't played in Duo. Pretty sure.
I mean, I just feel like I've seen him somewhere. Maybe a scrim, maybe another league. But
Probably another league, we'll
that's
say. But yeah, I mean, MG. Again, we're gonna tease the upcoming group graphic, but they're in the same group as two of the teams that they were with last season, and presumably they're gonna have a tough time on this. Pablo, what do you make of MG Waves this time around?
Yeah, like I said, I put them as fourth in the Dragon Division.
Okay.
I think they can. It's kind of like my gamble. I think I could perform better than some of the other teams and just inch themselves ahead into playoffs. I don't know if that's going to be right after a week. There's not a lot of information, but I did want to gamble on this team in terms of like how well they could perform. If they pull what MG did last season, then I'm really going to change my opinion quickly. But I don't want to assume that that's going to happen to them. I expect them to perform well this
To
season.
do better, yes. Hashtag we want waves, as a friend of mine put it. Will they be able to deliver with those tidal waves into this season of GPCS? We will see. But next up, I think we have a very, very special team here at Duo Esports. It's the one and only two true-time back-to-back champions of Duo Esports in Pawn Sacrifice Black, with the single most impressive and successful run. Pawn Sacrifice Black hold a commanding 29-4 regular season record and have never dropped a GPCS playoff game, holding a 12-0 record in the playoffs. This team will without a doubt perform, but now missing their two-star carries in 2-Max 9 and Shrimpapura, will Pawn Sacrifice Black still remain as the #1 team here in Duo Esports' Gold Platinum competitive series. Who better to start off than you, Shier?
Who better indeed? This is, even if you say they're missing star players, I just added more star players, and this is still going to be a top team, like the #1 team and the winner of this league. That's what the
boy.
Yes, that's what the script says.
That is what the script says. Bold words coming out here, Shier, but that's how we like them here at Duo Esports. Let's take a look at their roster this time around. Very semi-controversial, I believe, within the community, but we've got Zooey in the top lane, returning Season 3 Conquer Academy Bronze Silver Gold Competitive Series champion, Sheer fucking Will in the jungle again, Tate no Yusha in the mid lane, Aqua Domain in the bot lane, and Omari once again making his appearance in support.
What, quite indeed. Phoenix, a Duo Season 3 champion, I believe, an unofficial Season 4 champion, coming to help us fill out the little gap in the top lane here. Myself. 2 times champion in an off role, might I say. Well, actually, 1 time in the top lane and 1 time in the jungle. Tate Nyoisha, I think, is the only player in Duo that has 3 championship. Correct me if I'm wrong.
In a row, yes, correct.
In a row, okay, yes.
Yes,
and
in a row.
In two roles, in 2 different roles, and now he's going for a 4th cup in a 3rd different role.
Yes, he is. So we definitely think this org is going to perform, but how well will they perform? Let's head to you for that one, Pablo.
All right, so Pawn Sacrifice Black, right? Definitely the team everyone, if you played last season or if you played 2 seasons ago, is the team you're looking at, right? This is the team that you want to see either succeed or fail. Last season, they were by no means not the best team entirely, almost only losing 1 game throughout the entire season. 1 game, and that game was pretty close. Even so, that just showed nothing but dominance, right? That being said, it's a new season, right? And they have some missing players. Unfortunately, they did lose arguably 3 of the best players in their roles. Amazing Time, Totamax 9, and Shrimp Tempura. These players were, without a doubt, the best players in their roles in the league last season, right? So the story now is, will they continue their dominance missing those 3 players? They still have Omari and Sheer in their respective lanes, support and jungle. Top tier players in both those positions, right? But there's some new players now. There's a new dynamic. It's a new season. Is this dominance going to continue? I know everyone wants to know, and I personally, I think they can still do it. I don't think they'll be as dominant as they were last season. However, I think they still will be a top tier team. I give them top 3 in the Dragon Division, a very top heavy league. I think they have what it takes to win out and do well in playoffs. That being said, this is a story that everyone wants to hear.
Absolutely.
Well, you say new players, but really the only new addition is Zoe in the top lane. Aqua Domain has been our sub for the past 2 seasons. He's been really solid as a sub, and now he gets the chance to show himself as the starter.
Yes. So Aqua Domain.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Sorry, Tate no Yusha actually played the first half of the season, and he hasn't dropped a game. So he's actually a really dominant player when he wants to play this game. And he's even better when he just wants to have fun. And as I said previously, the best support in this league, Omari, PSB Omari, and he will come in hot in this league to clap some booties.
All right, fair enough. I mean, I look at the roster, right, and yes, Aqua Domain has been on both of your championship rosters, and he's been subbing both of them. I think that's the most important part. Aqua Domain, I think, has played very few games. I would say about 4 or under in total across both seasons in Duo Esports. He hasn't played that much, So we don't, even though he's won technically, not even technically, he has won both seasons in a row with One Sacrifice. We haven't seen that much of him, so he's kind of an unknown face, right? I mean, he's had some decent showings going on that best team. Now really hard to have some, decent showings, right? So I think Aqua Domain is the one with the most question marks here, and the second most question marks for me at least is Zui top lane and Tatu Nayusha mid lane, right? Tatu Nayusha formerly a very dominant top laner, and Zui a very dominant mid laner in our league before. Where's this swap coming from, right? And how is it going to end up panning out?
Well, we're looking to have fun, so swapping lanes is not going to be uncommon. I might go top. I might go back top. I might play support at some point. You don't know. We'll see.
We don't know, and we will see. My personal expectation of Pawn Sacrifice is that they're going to be a top 2 team. I think top 3 is kind of them a little bit of slack that they don't really deserve, but top 2 in my book. However, I at least really want to see. Maybe you're getting another appointment, a phone call, Sheer.
Yeah, this is Dota. He's saying PSB number 1.
Oh, okay. Well, you got Shuna here telling you PSB number 2. I want to see a season where Pawn Sacrifice is not number 1 from start to finish. I want to see them actually get challenge drop, not one game all season long. And I think I know what team that's going to be going over to. We're going to go to them very, very soon right now, but we got a couple other teams on the chopping block next. Let's go to them, shall we? We got Primal Gaming Hack as the next team on our list right here, and they're the first of the 2 Primal teams completely not related at all, though, playing in the GPCS this season with nothing but new faces to our scene. How do we think they will end up doing? Let's again go to you, Pablo.
All right, so check out Primal Gaming. OPs didn't impress me that much. Again, all I have to look at is stats on paper. I don't have any gameplay footage of them, and I don't recognize any of the players. Just looking at their OPs, not that impressive. I think they're in the Baron division, right? So expectations are low. I know that their jungler Latios is a Kayn player. I mean, I feel like if you you can easily draft around a Kayn if you're like being cognizant of it. So I want to see how he performs not on Kayn. I want to see if he really is going to be one of these top junglers in the Baron division. Top laner, Hay plays a lot of solo queue dominant champs. So again, solo queue transitioning to 5, so different mindsets, especially in my opinion, a GPCS league. So how he's going to perform in that, either he's going to dominate the lane or he's going to switch to more team-oriented champions, right? Again, they don't stick out to me as a top-tier team. I think they're going to be radiating somewhere in the middle. They could get that 4th place spot. In my opinion, I don't think it's going to happen, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Definitely. I mean, I guess it's kind of fitting, right? We went from a team that we have, so much information on, so many expectations, to a team that we have absolutely nothing on of. Let's look at the roster super quickly. We got Hay in the top lane, Latios 23 in the jungle, Opa Ivor in the mid lane, Affin in the bot lane, and Greer on support right now. Sheer, what do you make of this team, if at all?
The only player I feel like I recognize is Opa Ivor. Is it Ivor from Focus League?
Ivor. Yes, it is.
So if it's the same, assuming it's the same person, well, you just said yes. I think we played with him in another league called Equilibrium Store, EQL, and he was talked about as a really dominant top laner. So now I'm interested as to why he's the mid lane. So
definitely.
I mean, might be a shot in the dark, but I'd say that this team could just make it in the playoffs just because of this one player.
I mean, we'll get to it, but the group is very interesting. Pablo, what do you make of this team?
I mean, I guess if you know Ivor from another league, I am not too familiar with like the focus teams. So hopefully Ivor does better in 5 settings than really what his OP stands out to me as. If that's the case, he is in a carry role mid lane to do that. So I guess when we're looking at this team, we're really looking at the mid lane to be that keystone piece, right? To hold that whole team together.
I mean, you have to be careful with OPGGs, right? Like if you look at mine, it's not super impressive, and like, oh wait, this guy's a Tom Kench abuser. Or for example, if you look at Suno's, it's like, holy shit, this ADC shit.
Whoa, come on. Hold up.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, don't pay too much attention to it. So maybe there's like more behind the scene. But all we have right now is that. So that's our judgment here.
I mean, I honestly every team, every team other than like maybe Divine Ascension and maybe Fight Club Dov or Dov for sure. If we're being generous, and GGG, right? Every other team I just want to put in the middle of the pack, and that doesn't feel right with this team. That doesn't mix. They could be middle of the pack. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think this is a top team by any means, right? Brand new players, brand new roster, players we've never seen before. I don't know Ivor from his reputation in the Focus Esports leagues, right? Haven't actually ever seen him play as a player before, so I can't really make an informed opinion. I'm going to say this is going to be a bottom end team. I'm going to lean towards. I haven't said anyone has been bottom end yet, and this is the first team I'm going to go at, just off of how little information that we have.
Fair enough.
Agree.
So who else could be over them then?
Well, we're about to get to that, but different group. However, it is the second Primal team on our list right now that is Primal Radiance, having some very familiar faces in Star Million, Tommy 2-Time, and Solidarity Carry Pina 146 from the oh-so-dominant Pawn Sacrifice White of last season. One would think Primal Radiance would come in with guns blazing. However, they came in at gunpoint against Crow Gaming in the exhibition matches, getting smashed right out the gate. Will Primal Radiance have a banger of a showing in the GPCS, or the only thing going boom be this team's chances of playoffs right now? Let's start off with you, Sheer.
I mean, will they roar or will they, like, cry like a cat? But I feel like you should go first, because, I believe you know the owner really well.
You could say that. The coach, I don't know about owner, but we'll figure that one out. Let's go to the roster super quickly. We got Soulless in the top lane, Painless in the jungle, Tommy 2-Time in the million, Pina 146 in the bot lane, and Coconuts on support. Sure, I will go first. Primal Radiance had a very rough showing, albeit a very wild and fun showing in the exhibition match, right? But they ultimately did not perform that well against Crow Gaming, and I feel kind of bad for this team, because they're playing in the tough, without a doubt, they're playing in the tougher of the two groups. And we've just went over a couple of the teams that we think is going to do very well. And there's one team we haven't even gotten to yet that I think is going to absolutely dominate the group. As much as I hate to say it, I think this team's going to struggle, right? I mean, Tommy 2-Time and Peanut, I think, are the two biggest duo names right here. Tommy 2-Time being a very solid mid laner, definitely top 4, maybe even top 3 in some people's books. Last season, Pina 146, as much as I gave him a lot of flack, honestly don't think he was a bad AD carry, and I think that maybe you could have something in mid and bot, but I mean, top lane Solus we've never seen play before, Painless we've never seen play before, so it's kind of tough. Are they going to make playoffs? Possibly, but I don't think they're going to have a very good early season by any means. I think that's my assessment of their roster. What about you, Pablo?
So I had the fortunate honor to cast their game against Crow Gaming, and just looking at their play themselves, it definitely seems like they are more of a coordinated team than the other teams, right? That being said, the solo lane capabilities that they have, Tommy 2-Time can carry a game if he's on the right champion. Swain, I don't think it was the right choice in that draft, and it was really unfortunate. I think Tommy on other champions can carry, though, so I don't want to pull too much from that game, if that makes sense. But Tommy 2-Time and Peanut were on Pawn Sacrifice White of last season, a top team. They got 3rd or 4th place after the playoffs. I always thought that Peanut and Tommy were very good in their respective lanes. So if they're going to take the reins of this team and carry it, I think they can. I also think that Painless is he's either going to be really good or really bad. I think he's going to be good this season. His show match didn't show it too much, but I think Painless is a solid jungler. I think he's going to show up in the games that it matters. If I had to point a weak link in this team, it'd probably be the support. It wasn't a great showing from their Morgana that game. I would like to see more. I would like to see more just to make a complete opinion on it. But I mean, a support player myself, I'm super judgmental of other supports. So I wasn't too impressed. However, I'm not saying they're bad. I think they can pull it around. I put this team middle of the pack. I think MG Waves is just going to beat them to that 4th seed. That's my opinion on their team.
Okay, that could be the case. And let's round it up with you, Shearer. What are your closing thoughts on Primal Radiance?
Did we lose him?
Oh, we lost him. Well, we can skip his thoughts for that super quickly right now for Primal Radiance. Yeah, we'll see how they do. I kind of agree with you very much on this one, Pablo, where it's I could see them fourth, but they're going to be fighting for it. They're going to be fighting for that last seed. Absolutely, I feel. And let's go to our next team in line right now. They're going to be the first of our two Solar teams, the only organization this season to put two teams into the same league with hopes of doubling the chances to winning our top-tier Gold Platinum competitive series. Solar Eclipse are coming with very familiar faces, and under a top-tier organization, one has to feel that this is the pawn sacrifice right of Season 7. Will Solar Eclipse have the same dominant results, or is this just a not-so-good team under an exceptional sister team? Let's look at that hot roster of theirs right now. We got Hard Only for Bard in the top lane, Lose Lane, Bling Jungle, ironically enough, in the jungle, Samuel Wallace returning in the mid lane, Cirrus in the bot lane, and Daddy Zillion in the support role. Who better to start off other than you, Pablo?
Yeah, so Solar Eclipse is the sister team to another team that we're going to get to later, Solar Phoenix. They joined us after the end of last season, and while Cuddlebun did hit Diamond, so he's no longer playing top lane, he is their coach, so he's being a big help, making sure that team is performing up to, not a low-tier team. It is a pretty new roster, so they are still working together. I think they have a lot of, especially Bard has been swapping around the lanes a bit. I have a little more information than more people because I'm, helping with the team. But I do know that Bard will be playing top lane. Players to look out for, I think Cyrus is very good. Cyrus and Daddy Zillion are probably going to show that they're a decent bot lane. Sam Wallace, we saw from last season on EQE, performed well in some games, and then other games kind of flopped. I think Sam could pop off in some games. It's just whether to keep him from not. I'll be harsh and say not inting. I think he has what it takes. But definitely the players to look out for in terms of like playing well and like carrying the game on this team is definitely the top and junk synergy here. Bard doesn't play too much top lane, although he told me he has played top before. If I was another team looking at this lineup, that's probably where I'd be attacking them.
What I will say here is that Daddy Zillion is a top tier support. Really, really solid. He's just as good as a streamer. Shout out to Daddy Zillion streaming for us today. And so someone else I will point out is Samuel Wallace. There's a rumor about how he may or may not have a solo kill TK at some point. This is still up in the air. We don't know. It's a rumor.
Are these like the reports of Faker getting solo killed by a Gold 4 brand or something? Is this of the same nature?
But I wouldn't say the same nature, but someone is denying it, so who knows?
Okay, we'll see. Yeah, so Solar Eclipse, my expectations of this team, like I said in the introduction for them, I get a lot of Pawn Sacrifice White vibes. Not just because that they have a Pawn Sacrifice White player on their team, but it's a sister team coming in, and I think they're in the same veil that the team that they're allied with is really hyped and will match that hype, right? They'll deliver.
Yes,
and then this is a sister team coming in. We expect them to do so good because they're under the same org. But frankly, I mean, the roster, at least to me, isn't that impressive. I mean, you have Hard Only for Bar in the top lane, right? He was the support for Equilibrium Eclipse last season, I believe. Frankly, not that good. How is he going to do top lane now? I don't know. Top and support are very different roles in how that they're played, literally on the other ends of the map with each other, right? Sam Wallace, I think, is a player to keep our eyes on. He definitely had his pop-off moments last season. I think he was voted as the most underrated mid laner. So maybe in this team with these four different players, he has the chance to shine. And Daddy Zillion, I actually think, is semi-controversial for me. Yes, he's a very good support. Yes, he's a very strong player. But the last time we had a Daddy Zillion season was Season 4 when they were on Active Rush, the super dominant GPCS team, 16-2 regular season, absolutely cleaning house. And part of that, as much as we give him some flack, it was with Villain and Glasses, and that was the best bot lane in the GPCS. You had Villain, Daddy Zillion, and that was the bot lane that you had to keep an eye out for, right? Now you only have half of that, right? Villain Glasses, to my knowledge, is still in the Solar org, but he is not starting for Solar Eclipse. And we don't know much about Cyrus here, so we'll see.
What I'll say is bot lane is one through support, so maybe Villain, which is a passenger. Wink, wink.
Ooh, a little bit of flame dished out, but some compliments here for Daddy Zillion. We'll see. It'll be interesting.
Their comments about like a sister team coming in and there's like this stigma of like living in the shadow of the more successful team. But But I feel like Solar Eclipse has this vibe of they will bring the shades. They will block the sun.
Ooh,
I like that.
Okay. You just came out with a book here, Sheer. I like that. But yeah, Solar Eclipse. I think this team we think will be at the top, and I kind of think they will. But again, it's just off of the success of their organization, right? We'll actually see where they'll be placed. So I'll say top, but I'm not going to be afraid to go back on. If I see
Also,
mid-season, like a 2-3 record or something.
interesting point from Wallace in the chat and Twitch on Twitch chat. So last season, EQ Eclipse was presented as the inferior team to EQ
True.
Storm, but turned out it was the opposite, and EQ Storm just complete the biggest flop in history, and Solar Eclipse actually qualified for playoffs, and I mean it was decent.
True.
They had to face the eventual champions, but they did a decent. They put up decent fight.
That they did indeed. So let's get to the next team, a very special team, I feel, here at Duo Esports. It is the second of our two Solar teams. Once again, the only organization putting in two teams into the same league to double their chances. And this time it's the hot topic, blazing hot team themselves, Solar Phoenix, the team that almost knocked out Pawn Sacrifice Black in the playoffs last season and was the only team to knock out PSB in the regular season, to find themselves as the number 2 in the Baron division, the top of the two groups from start to finish. Now returning with almost every player and an upgraded roster overall. Let's take a look at them right now. We got Jadway in the top lane, Kodnim in the jungle, Manatsu in the mid lane, Shrimp Tempura in the bottom lane, and Pablo553 on support. This roster is where it is at, and who better to start us off once again other than you, Pablo?
Wait, I'm sorry, Pablo. I have to interject here. Define almost winning in playoff, please. Define it. What do you mean by almost knocking PSV out?
I mean, there's some hype about the game. We'll just leave it up to a Brainbridge draft gap. You can hit us off, Pablo.
Thank you. So, yes, Solar Phoenix. I'm a support on the team. We definitely have the exact same roster from last split, except for one. Bot lane changed out with Shrimp. Some things that you aren't seeing on the screen exactly is that we actually have 3 subs who I think are also very top caliber. Villain and Glasses, Kiri, and Killjoy226. So just this roster by itself, on paper it looks really good. And I'm not trying to be biased when I say that. Just like on paper, just looking at OPs, the roster looks good. From last season, very good performance from our team. I'm not trying to overhype our team more than we would like to be. We definitely are coming into this season without no cockiness. Like, we expect to play well, but we expect to work for it. I definitely see us as being one of the top teams in our division. You could have bias behind that, sure, but I think our lineup really solidifies that. I think we're going to do well this season. Yeah, that's really my opinion.
I actually agree with Pablo here. For me, my perspective of Solar Phoenix last season was the ADC gap. It was a big ADC gap. The gap, no flame, but Nesquik was not cutting it. But now they have probably the best ADC that Duo has ever seen in the Shrimp Tempura. Maybe except Dota. Wink wink Dota. But no, Shrimp Tempura, super dominant. This is going to be a big addition here.
Yes. So my opinion of the Solar Phoenix roster, right? And as hinted at multiple times, I said this during the IBSG section. I think that the biggest thing, without a doubt, is synergy when it comes to these players right now. And Solar Phoenix has nothing but synergy, right? They have almost 4 returning players, and they're doing fantastic. And their 80 carry is just an upgrade. So
massive upgrade. Now the only question I have is: did Kodnim Champool expand, or is it still a Mumu pocket pick player?
If that's a question directed at me, I would love to answer it. We have expanded all of our champion pools. Myself, especially, have strayed away.
Especially
I have strayed away from Zillion one-tricking, as you could tell, from all of the games I've played so far this preseason. But just for any teams that are thinking that I'm going to instantly lock in Zillion in any drafts that I play, I'm not. So if you could not ban it first phase, that would be fantastic. But that being said... What? No. Anyway. Yeah. Yeah. No. I mean, our team's been working pretty hard since the the off season. We've been playing in a different league as well. Keep us practiced up. So yeah.
Definitely. I mean, again, I'll go back to the synergy here. Jarway top lane, I mean, he was, again, arguably the best top laner last split, but I think he was at least for the majority of the regular season for sure. You got Cottenham coming back, top 3 jungler without a doubt. Manatsu, very solid mid laner. You have, of course, yourself, Pablo, who I think was, very good support as well. And again, not to bash my boy Nesquik, I actually think given the team and the circumstances he was under, Nesquik was actually a very solid bot laner. But no flame to him, Shrimp's just better, without a doubt. I think everyone can agree to that. And now, if the weak link on your roster is now, the best AD carry from last season, I think this team's just going to come in guns blazing and just destroy everyone.
This is most likely the number 1 contender here. No flames, no lie. This is the team to look at.
Absolutely the case right now. So Solar Phoenix, high hopes. Let's hope they can match those high expectations coming in from them. We're going to wrap it up with our final set of GPCS teams right now. Our next team on the list is Stunned, and the brand new team coming in hot into the Gold Platinum competitive series. This time, once again, in the Baron division. Let's take a look at the roster super quickly right now. Easy game, easy life for the top lane. GPCS in the jungle. MG Ambitious in the mid lane. Sign D gone wild in the bot lane, and feel the man love on support right now. Let's go to you again, Pablo. How do you feel about this team?
All right, so Stunned, solid plat lineup. I think their mid laner Ambitious is really good on paper. I have high expectations from him. Their support, Manlove, has a lot of decent support pools. It plays Alistar, Braum, and Lulu, who I think those 3 supports are really good in 5s. In pretty much any scenario, really. I think this team revolves around their mid pretty heavily. I think, though, this is going to be my hot take. I think Stunned is going to be the best team in the Baron division. I think that they'll be able to go above and beyond and kind of mid-diff all the teams. That being said, I think the mid-jungle synergy is something definitely to look at with this team. I don't think their bot lane's going to impress too much, but I think they're going to be functional in terms of able to not dominate the lane, but dominate the objective around dragons and Herald, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm slotting this team as number 1 in Baron. I think they have what it takes. That's my prediction.
Absolutely. So, let's start off with you, Shir. Let's go back to you.
I say, I'm looking at the OPGG, and something really, really interesting is that we have almost a 1K ranked game player, Riven one-trick player. But I mean, I'm saying one trick, but he played 93 games out of almost 1,000 games, so it's a lot. He plays a lot of different champions, and I feel like this is just an interesting fact here.
Indeed. So, my opinion of Stunned. I kind of agree with Pablo again. I think that again, ranks don't mean too much, but this is, I think, one of the highest ranked teams for sure, at least in GPCS, and I think that at least high plat can definitely make some noise over low platinum players.
Actually, they're plat 4 average.
Well, nonetheless, I don't think they're gonna do bad at all. I'm not a fan of their logo, being brutal about it, but probably on that.
Right under Lighthouse. Right under Lighthouse.
Right under Lighthouse. Oh, there's the LHT
I
flame.
think the logo's Pog.
But I mean, Stunned, actually, I do think they'll do good. I think, given the nature of their group, which we'll get to in literally 2 slides, I think that they're going to do good. I think anyone can thrive in this group in a team with all platinum players probably will do decent, right?
Perhaps. I mean, they're in the harder group, right?
They're in the easier group.
It's I don't know. I was gonna say this to the end because I didn't really know what you guys thought. I think Baron's harder, but we'll save that for later. How about that? Because we only have one team, right?
Okay. We do have one more team. Let's get to the last GPCS team right now. Wrap it up super quickly. Our final Gold Platinum Competitive Series team is going to be Valkyrie. Brand new team, brand new roster, coming in bright with the white right now. Looking at their lineup, we got False in the top lane, Fusions in the jungle, Civ is Dead in the mid lane, Hybrid carrying the bot lane, John 44 on support. Let's head off to you, Sheer, this time. How do you feel about Valkyrie? Yeah, they're in the tougher of the 2 groups, as I will put it in Dragon Division.
So, for some reason, maybe I'm blind. No, it's right here. Valkyrie, let's see. I don't recognize much of the players, but I feel like they might actually do well in this season of GPCS.
Mhm.
And by well, I mean like qualifying like 4th seed, 3rd seed, perhaps.
Interesting. What's your basis for that?
I don't know. I like the logo.
Oh my god.
Okay. I mean, the logo's good. I'll give you that. But let's go to Pablo after the hearing that one.
All right. So, looking at their roster, Valkyrie, their mid lane is a solo queue monster. Just looking at OPs because that's all I have. I don't know these players, so I only have the sheet to look at, of course. Their mid laner is just popping off in solo queue. He's getting MVP in every game he wins, and he's getting ace in every game he loses. So he's got to be a good player in solo queue, right? That's got to transition to fives, right? I'm hoping, right? But looking at their champ pools, I think Fusion has a good jungle champ pool. Hybrids doesn't play too many solid AD carries, but I think this team's going to be lower end. Just by stats alone, just by what I'm looking at. If they're not carrying through their mid, I don't see how this team could beat the top teams. I think they might be able to sneak into like that 4th place spot, like you said, because I think the top 3 teams are pretty solidified in the Dragon division at least.
I will agree about your worried on hybrid. He looking at his match history, it's mostly jungle, and his highest played ADC is Senna, which is not totally the an actual ADC. So yeah, I mean, there's that one point here that
from stats I have low expectations, but they could pull it around and be a top team, right? But this is all I have to go off of.
I mean, very much off of what I have to go off of. I'm looking at our Dragon Division teams. We'll get to literally the next slide. We know Silver Phoenix, we know MG, we've seen Crow, we've seen Primordiance, we know Glacial's an org, right? So, and maybe they have some level of coaching assistance to what we know Point Sacrifice, we know Aether. Valkyrie is the one we know jack about. They're not an org, they have no players we've seen before. Literally, I have no clue. And I'm looking at the rest of the group, right? I'm looking at these orgs that we know of, or orgs in general, or teams that have had really good showings, and solid players that we've seen before, right? I have nowhere but to place this team at the bottom, frankly, right? I mean, clean slate. Usually that's fine, but when you're in the tougher of the two groups, I don't think a clean slate's going to cut it.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I see the complete division, kind of changed my mind here. Yeah, Valkyrie is going to struggle here. It's a really top heavy league, and only 4 spots to qualify, right?
Yeah, definitely. So
call us biased, but I feel like those two spots is already guaranteed for Solar Phoenix.
Yep. Let's get to that Dragon Division graphic then, shall we? Finally, as everyone that we have been stalling it out for, we have our Dragon Division right now with Primal Radiant, Solar Phoenix, MG Waves, Crow Gaming, Valkyrie, Aether Esports, Point Circus Black, and Glacial Inferno.
Yeah, so I did want to kind of just do this debate while I was talking to you guys. Why do you think Dragon is stronger than Baron?
You got Pawn Circus Black,
Mm-hmm.
who know we're going to do well. You got Solar Phoenix, who we're going to do well. You have Crow Gaming, who looked exceptionally good in the exhibition matches, and I think some of that would indeed transfer over the regular season. You have MG, who may be a bit of a wild card, but they're definitely trying to prove themselves and do better than last season, I'd hope, right? And honestly, their roster doesn't even look that bad this time around. You have Aether Esports, who probably will do bad early on, right? But Aether Esports as an org has always gotten their stuff together, mid-late season and made it happen. And I mean, just most of the teams look really good. Most of the teams we know, we have players of Primal Radiance, Tommy Two Time and Peanut. Maybe this is their season to prove themselves. Like, I think there's just a lot of good teams in this group.
Primal Radiance with Tommy Two Time and Peanut, they were in Bonskers White last season, and they end up as first seed in their division. So, probably could translate that success in the Dragon Division, but there's really tough competition with Solar Phoenix and PSB, and probably Crow Gaming.
Yeah, absolutely. So, why do you think this is the weaker of the two groups, Pablo?
I don't know. I just see Baron as a more competitive, like within its own division. Like if I was in Baron, I'd feel like it'd be harder. Swap Solar Phoenix out with like any of the teams. Like I feel like that division's harder in my opinion. I just feel like those teams can take games off of each other, and I guess like maybe it's more exciting in my opinion.
I feel like if you swap Phoenix with Eclipse, you guys are just number 1 straight up. Like there's no contest.
I wouldn't sleep on
Fair
Thunder and Divine Ascension, and also Stunned. I think those are good teams. Cross-divisional
Okay.
play is going to be very fun.
Well,
I think
it
it's gonna
is.
be
It
amazing.
absolutely is. Let's slice it up, though, shall we?
Go ahead.
In order to qualify for playoffs, it's 8 teams. You need to do top 4. From there, first versus fourth, second versus third, and you only meet a team from the other group in grand finals. Right? Top 4 makes it. Let's start off with you, Pablo. In order, who are the 4 teams that make it into playoffs in Dragon Division?
Dragon Division in order?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, I'll do this. So fourth, I have MG Waves. They're gonna get 4th seed in Dragon Division. I think that they can do it. That being said, I think Aether and Primal have a chance to steal that from them. But I'm gonna say fourth for MG. That's my bet. Third, I'm gonna say Crow Gaming. I think Crow Gaming's good.
Okay.
I think Crow Gaming can take the 2nd seed if they really perform well. But I'm gonna put them at third to be safe.
Okay.
Under some assumptions that I was discussing with Sheer yesterday, if Totemax starts subbing in, yeah, it's going to be hard to take that 2nd spot. But 2nd seed, I'm going to have Pawn Sacrifice Black. With their current starting roster, I think they're not a number 1 team in the division when Solar Phoenix is in there. So Solar Phoenix number 1, PSB number 2, Crow Gaming number 3, MG Waves number 4.
All right, Cheer. Let's hear the clap back. What do you think it's going to be?
I mean, I'll be honest. It's fair enough. Like, you would expect a drop in performance when the star players are not expecting to start, right? Notably, Shrimp and Pro leaving. So I would mostly agree with what Pablo said. I don't expect to go undefeated when we are planning to just, troll a lot of games, let's say, and just have fun. I mean, top 3 probably Solar Phoenix, PSB, Crow, and for the 4th seed, I could literally take the remaining 5 teams and just roll the dice, like roll them like that.
Okay. Roll a Yahtzee, if you will.
Yeah, I'll Yahtzee them exactly.
You'll Yahtzee them. All right. I mean, I'm a little disappointed. You're not gonna lie. I was hoping to hear the clap back, and we're getting in your head, man. That's not good.
If you want to clap back,
What?
remember when you said almost? Yeah, I remember that one.
Okay, interesting.
I mean, almost is apparently a perfect game. Sure, almost.
Okay, fair enough. But alas, even you have PSP as a two. That's a bit of a shocker. But I respect the humbleness coming in. A lot of respect being given over to Solar Phoenix right now. My personal mix of it, I think we're gonna have Solar Phoenix 1, PSP 2, Crow Gaming 3, and I agree. The 4th one's a Yahtzee kind of deal, but I'm actually gonna spice it up. I'm gonna say very, very, very reluctant. I'm gonna say Primal Radiance are 4th.
It's fine.
Very reluctant.
I think they can do it.
But yeah, no, I think they can do it too. But they're gonna have to fucking work for it. That's for sure. Let's look at another group though, which is also getting talked about quite a bit. We got the Baron division coming kind of hot as well. Maybe the weaker of the 2 groups this time around with Primal Hex, Divine Ascension, Platinum Fight Club, DOV Thunder, Stunned, Solar Clips, Galaxy Gaming Dragons, and Lighthouse Titans.
Yeah, this is definitely the weaker of the 2 groups. Like, no bias. That's why I said, like, if we swap Eclipse with Solar Phoenix is just probably undefeated.
All right. I don't want to sleep on these new teams. They're new teams. Just because we don't know too much doesn't mean they're not going to be good, right? But
I mean, I don't want to sleep on them either. But if I take my experience as last season, a lot of new teams, then almost all undefeated, right?
All right.
I mean, I think it's a fair assessment that the team that prevented that from happening could go undefeated themselves.
All right.
Yeah.
So I gotta stop for a second. Just shout out Nesquick and Chill real quick. I just noticed the Solar Eclipse logo. I'm still in love with it. Nesquick and Chill made the Phoenix and Eclipse logos. Everyone give him a shout out in Twitch chat in general, whenever you feel like it. He's a great guy. But I'll start out. You want me to start out with my power rankings for Baron?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So number 4, and man, I gotta tell you, the middle of the pack is so tough. Number 4, I'm tossing it up between Solar Eclipse and Galaxy Gaming Dragons. I want to say Solar Eclipse because I'm biased. However, yeah, I'm gonna say that. I think that they're a little bit better than Galaxy Gaming Dragons right now. Maybe with Q Raichu coming into the team, it's gonna be different because I haven't seen Q Raichu play. But I'm gonna say Eclipse for now. But I could see Galaxy Gaming coming up and creeping into that 4th seed spot. Number 3, I have Divine Ascension Plat. Solid team. I think they're gonna be top of the lineup. But I think DOV Thunder 2 and I think Stun number 1. I think those 2 teams at the top are really gonna shine in this league.
Okay, I mean, I'll do mine last. What do you think, Sheer?
I feel like it's the take Eclipse, take Galaxy Gaming Dragon, take DOV Thunder, and they could all take number 1 spot. They could also just take number 4. I'm not quite sure about those 3. And for me, this division reminds me a lot about the Dragon division from last season, where you had like maybe 1 or 2 clear top 1, seed 1, seed 2 team, and the rest is just like who knows? Anyone could win. I'm really hopeful for Fight Club, as I previously stated.
Yeah.
But the DAG Gold looks really solid, especially after their preseason showing. And DOV Thunder, solid team. So, see what happens.
This is why I say it's the weaker of the 2 groups, because all of us are experiencing right now where it's really, really hard to say, who's gonna go where. I mean, I'll try, but it's not easy, right? There's just no clear favorite. Frankly, there's no clear favorite. I mean, let's go through the teams and do my reasoning, right? I mean, Fight Club, they've never been a clear favorite, okay? Solar Eclipse, I mean, PS White vibes from them, but just because they're under a great org, does that mean they're a great team? Not necessarily. Galaxy Gaming Dragons looked, frankly, poor in their exhibition match, but they were admittedly trolling drafts. We don't have the greatest opinion of them. Dawn of Thunder, probably the one with the best, reputation walking into this group. But, is it enough to be number 1? Maybe. We'll see. Standard, like Primal Hex, we have no read on. Lighthouse Titans, we have no read on. Like Divine Sunshine Platinum looked good, but admittedly they were facing DDD who were trolling drafts, so how good are they actually? Like, there's just so many goddamn question marks here. If I had to slice it up, though, which is my job here, absolutely. It's going to be wrong, but I'm going to say Dove, Divine Ascension Platinum, Stunned, and Galaxy Gaming Dragons. This is such a wild group, man. Honestly,
Right.
I think. I mean, I'm almost 100% wrong, but I have no greed on this group at all, man. It's not easy.
They should rename this division to Wild West, dude.
This is the Wild West. Yeah, that's what this says.
Everybody's gonna come here guns blazing and.
Yeah. Everyone stands a chance. Everyone stands a chance to make playoffs in this one.
Yeah. So I mean, like in a gunfight, who has the advantage? The one in the tower or the one flying?
We'll see. Well, that is for sure. But those are our team showcase wrapped up right now. We have went through our 26 teams. We've went through 2 groups for GPCS, Dragon Division, and Baron Division, a 16-team league, 8-team, 2 groups. It's going to be a fire season with some clear-cut and some not-so-clear-cut answers. Derek, got any closing thoughts from my boys right here?
It's going to be the biggest Duo Esports season ever, I believe, right? 26 teams?
Yes, correct. So
I feel it's going to be really fun. And I'm a big fan of the IBSG League, and I cannot wait to see them perform.
True. Can't skip over them. We did their 10-team league at the start of things. Pablo, got anything to round us out?
Yeah, this is gonna be hype. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be a good time. I want to see good League of Legends, not only in the GPCS. I want to see good League of Legends, the IBSG teams as well. I'm gonna be casting some of the games, so I'll be narrating some of what y'all do. But I'm super excited this season.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. Make sure to tune into our games. We have some later on in, I believe, an hour and a half. Our first game of the season, Iron Bronze Silver Gold Competitive Series, Pawn Sacrifice Red versus Pawn Sacrifice Blue, 7 p.m. EST. We'll be at you with that game very, very soon. Going to be hype soon afterwards, following also being Pawn Sacrifice Black versus Crow Gaming. So, a bunch of hype games right around the corner. We'll be at it all night, and it's been a great time. So happy to have, not only Pablo and Sheer joining me, but our man, Daddy Zillion, coming in clutch for the stream, making it happen just before the season, just the perfect time. It's going to be a banger of a season, and I hope all of you have a blast. Regular season starts in just a couple